G'day Brewers, I'm here with Andy tonight and he is going to walk us through his schwarzbier recipe and how he made this beer. Why do we want to hear about this beer? What's so good about it?
Well, I've been lucky enough to get a couple of gold medals from it.
Yep.
A few years ago at QABC.
Yeah, Queensland Amateur Brewing Competition.
Yep.
Which year was that? Do you remember?
I forget now. I think 2022.
2022,
maybe a couple of years ago, 23. And this year at the Gold Coast competition, just a few weeks ago.
Excellent.
So, same recipe. It's been a
gold medals at both.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a favourite. So I think this is probably version 7 or 8 or something of the recipe, and it's sort of been refined. But yeah, I've pretty much settled on this now, and it's not often that I don't have it on tap at home. So
yeah, cool, cool. So a bit of a different format with this video. We're going to taste this beer. We're going to talk about this beer. We're going to talk about what goes into it. I'd like to hear more about how it's been refined over time and how that's changed and what's the next iteration. What are you going to change next time?
Problem, you don't want to change it. Weeks now, but no, it's certainly a nice beer to drink. It gets a lot of praise, from your friends and family. You know how it is, but a lot of people seem to like it.
Yeah, so it's popular with everyone, not just.
Well, it's quite approachable. It's quite approachable as a style, isn't it? It's a lager style. It's got that clean character, although it is a dark beer, and people are often expecting it to be heavier, mouthfeel wise and so on. It is still a lager. It's got that lager ferment, so it's pretty clean. It's got that roast malt, but the fact that it's black doesn't mean it's Guinness, And I think that's what a lot of people are often expecting.
Yeah.
And then they're surprised by how sort of light and drinkable it is, So,
yeah. Okay, let's have a look at it.
So obviously, Schwarz is literally like black beer, Schwarzbier. There's a few other styles that are very similar, Czech dark lager and so on, but obviously you're looking for somewhere in that very dark brown to black kind of colour range. Obviously it's right in there.
It's certainly dark brown, isn't it? You can just see a little bit of brown, maybe a little bit of ruby peeking through there. But it's quite dark that you can't see through it.
No, this particular, because I bottle condition all of mine, and this has kind of come out of a bottle. It's not absolutely clear, but when it's poured on tap, it's got a really nice kind of red-brown character coming through the colour. But no, it's almost all Pilsner malt, so you get that sort of bready Pilsner character coming through. And then there's a number of specialty malts, but the Munich and Pilsner combination really forms the base of it, and you get that nice kind of complex bready character from that. The actual roast malts are fairly minimal. We're only talking about 750 grams out of 6.5 kilos. So I think a lot of people think when they see a beer that's black that it's all black malt, but of course that's not true. It's almost all pale malt with just those little additions of roast malt on top.
Because the roast malt might be 2% or 3%.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Let's have a look. I do get the breadiness on the nose. I also get a clean sort of coffee. So I get a bit of a bready malt presence and then the coffee kick after it.
Yeah. And there's that sort of very light chocolate. It's none of these are overpowering, right? They're pretty subtle. But yeah, it's there's enough there to kind of it's just enough to kind of be interesting, I guess. It's not complex like a big old stout or something like that, but it's enough to sort of make you want to have a taste, right?
What took me back by surprise, was that bready presence, because that is quite prominent.
Yeah.
Because I expected coffee.
Yeah, that's right.
And maybe sweet caramel or something like that, but there's a lot more bread.
Yeah, and I suppose even more perhaps something like a Pilsner or something, you'd expect a lot more hop aroma to be coming out from that, like a German Pilsner. I think people sometimes think of it as a black Pilsner, but the hops are really quite subdued on it. There's a fair bit of, there's over 100 grams of hops gone into this beer, but it doesn't really come through in the aroma. A lot of that's just in the boil to give it that base bitterness. And the German hops, those noble hops, they're not overpowering aroma wise. They're not cashmere and Idaho and these kind of tropical. They're quite subtle, herbal, spicy kind of aromas. So they don't leap out of that bready malt character. But
I don't pick up any of them. But as soon as I'm looking for, is that a
that
little bit of herbal? Is that
And obviously the yeast is the old favourite. The Weinstefana strain, that 3470. So it's a very clean fermenting yeast. I think.
Can't pick up, any big esters.
No.
Nothing. Yeah, it's clean. It's very clean.
I've actually got into the habit as well of fermenting this closer to sort of 14, 15 degrees even, just to get the ferment done nice and quickly. Classically, you used to hear that unless it was at 11 or 10 degrees, it wasn't really a lager, and anything warm, you were going to get all this kind of esters, and it just, you can see for yourself, it just doesn't happen, right? As long as you as long as the temperature's not fluctuating wildly, I think, and you kind of, you make sure you get a good diacetyl rest in it, and then you give it a good amount of time to kind of condition out. I've never really had any problem with that. So
I certainly can't.
No.
Can't complain.
And it's supposedly the most widely used yeast in the world. So I mean,
there's obviously a reason for that. Yeah, we taste it.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as I said, it's not. It doesn't have a strong dark roast flavour. Those elements of it are there.
Yeah.
But they're on top of quite a lagery character.
Yeah, the roast is quite subtle. When I taste that, first thing I get is bread again, and then toast, and then maybe hints of caramel, maybe a little bit of fruit. I think there's a little bit of esters I'm picking up on the tongue
flavour
that gives you that sort of that plays with the malt, and it gives you that sort of ripe fruit sort of.
Yeah.
It's subtle. It's not big. It's still clean. And then that coffee just sort of sits on top of it. It doesn't punch through like a stout. It just sort of, it's almost like coffee flavored bread rather than
bread dipped in coffee.
Than strong dark black coffee. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's important, isn't it? Because you don't want it. Yeah, they've all got to be fairly subtle. They've all got to be in balance and not sort of try and push through to the front. And I think.
Well, it definitely does that.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
It's definitely not. And I think I had an earlier version of this, and I said that the roast did come through.
That's right.
I think it must have settled in the bottle a little bit since then.
Well, and that was in earlier versions of it as well. So you said about what's changed. So definitely the first versions, it was very. I sort of went a bit over the top on the roast malts because again you're sort of falling into that trap of saying, well, it's a black beer, let's make it black and give it all those black characteristics, but actually it only just needs to be those things. It doesn't need to be sort of overpowering. It just needs to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it just kind of all comes together nicely, doesn't it? So I'm really happy with it.
It's certainly just enough roast, just to give it a note of coffee. But it's certainly not like a stout where.
No.
Yeah, it really is just like the icing on the cake more so than the cake itself.
That's
if that
right.
makes any sense. I'm trying to describe this in a way that makes sense, but
it's not it's a nice refreshing flavour. It's a refreshing. It's dry-ish, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's a nice malt character there as well. So it's kind of It makes you want to have another mouthful, but it's not. It's not sort of drying your mouth out. It's kind of nice and
it's a soft,
full malt. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a soft mouth feel. It finishes. Yeah, it doesn't finish with a bitter aftertaste. It sort of lingers. The malt lingers there.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
It's not. It's obviously not particularly strong. 5%. So it's right in that. A lot of German beers fall into that 5% range. It's a nice strength for. being able to have a couple, but having enough alcohol there so that you can get that nice malt flavour in the beer.
And I can see that you did say it was popular, this
Yeah,
beer.
definitely.
And I can see how it would be. Like, if you brought that out at a barbecue, people would sort of look at it first, oh, it's dark, I don't know, that's not Great Northern, what do I do with that? And then, but I can see that
But
being
they have
quite
one,
popular.
and it's just a more interesting version of a beer they're already familiar with, really.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think it could be a much more popular style here in Australia if people knew about it. Obviously, there aren't really very many commercial examples. You're starting to see. There's a few more cropping up recently. There's a good one from Heads of Noosa, and there's a Green Beacon make a black lager, and I think Bolter have brought one out recently, and they are cropping up. I think Black Flag made one a year or two ago. You do see them, but I mean, when you think of how many hazies or how many, how many, even the more traditional yellow lagers, there's hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And I think more breweries could be trying something like this. So.
Well, they might be, by the sound.
They might well, maybe.
Because we didn't. So you've talked a little bit about what goes into this beer. There's crystal malts in there.
Yeah, so it's not so much. The German maltsters don't really call them that. I mean, there's Pilsner malt and Munich, which are both kind of base malts. Munich gives it that bit, just a little bit more interesting malt character. That slightly softer, more bready character to the malt. On top of Pilsner, which can be quite a little bit one-dimensional if you use it on its own.
Yeah, sure.
But then there's a Cara Munich, which is kind of the German version of Crystal or a caramel malt.
Yeah.
It's that kind of slightly darker kilned Munich malt. And then there's a Carafa and a chocolate malt. So there's a bit, there is. So that's 5 different malts, and that does give you that complexity to it. But as I said, the actual volumes of them are quite low. So the chocolate malt, for example, is down around 2%, as you said. So these are not big additions, and that you get the colour just from those few percentage points of those darker malts. But it just gives you that.
So you use the chocolate malt. So it's not chocolate malt's not as dark as roast barley.
No.
It's a bit.
It's about half actually. It's about 800.
Yeah.
Some roast barleys are right up around 1500.
Yeah.
EBCs.
So it's not a dark chocolate. It's not a pale chocolate.
No, it's sort of middle-ish, about 900 EBC. I think the one I use. So it's I mean, you would get. I guess you're trying to avoid using anything too dark because you don't want that sort of acrid bitterness from the very dark malts. You're not looking for that really roasted character. You're definitely looking more for toast and toast, bread crust and toast rather than roast as such. Like you say, like a dry Irish stout or that kind of thing. You're not trying to bring that character in. You want it to be a nice, approachable, sort of darker flavored lager style.
Yeah. But you do want some roast. You're obviously not going for those dehusked type things.
No, that's right.
But and it's good. And with that slight touch, it gives you that little hint of it. But
definitely,
it's really just stays at a hint.
You want more than like an amber lager. You're not looking for just a slightly brown colour and no flavour change. Like you definitely want to bring it into the flavour, but subtly. So nice. And when you on the tasting, the bitterness is there as well. Like I said, those hops are there, 100 grams plus or whatever. But it's as I say, because of the low alpha acid level of a lot of those German hops, and because of the type of hop they are, you don't get a big old hoppy punch of flavour. It's just you almost don't notice it until you sort of start looking for it, and then it's definitely there in the background, kind of giving it that base bitterness and that base character. But it just doesn't kind of push itself to the front. It's all about the malt.
Yeah, but it's you have to look.
And
for
obviously,
it.
it's providing the bitterness that which is moderate. It's not aggressive, but it's balancing that malt so you don't get that kind of oversweet malt character.
So hop additions, it's mainly just
mostly bittering.
It's all
I
bittering.
think there's a little bit towards the end, just for that little bit of hop flavour. But I mean, 30 grams of a 4% SARS is not giving you a great deal of flavour at 15 minutes. yeah, it's just a gesture almost, you know, towards hop flavour. But if that's not there, it can come across as a little bit like a little bit cloying. You know, the malt kind of just sticks around in your mouth a bit too much.
So you've done it without that late addition.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I've added in. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember earlier versions. It was only the bittering, and that wasn't really like you do need some late on. I don't think you sometimes there's criticism of recipes. It's like hops on an hour, hops on 10 minutes, hops. As though we're sort of all stuck in this routine. But there's a reason why that's popular. I think that little bit towards the end, just it doesn't all just get turned into bitterness. You keep some of that flavour and aroma, and it just offsets the malt a bit.
I've heard people talking about that. They've said, I can't explain it, but that layering a 30-minute, a 20-minute, a 10-minute, that they swear that makes all the difference. There's more complexity they draw out of that, and they say I can't explain why necessarily, but the end result is something that is worth doing
more than the sum of its parts. I suppose if you think about the malt in the same way, let's say you put 6 or 7 different malts in and you get this character that you like. If you were to sort of average all of them out and pick a malt that had, say 15 EBC or something like that, and you just use that one, you'd expect that to be a bit more one-dimensional, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
But actually the end result might look the same, might be the same colour, but it probably wouldn't have the interest there. And perhaps that's the same with the hops. If you just kind of have them coming in at different points, you get slightly different oils coming out of them and slightly different characteristics coming out of them at different stages, and it just all adds up to the final product,
Absolutely. And you use SARS as a hop addition.
Yeah, I try to use
Bohemian.
I try to use SARS as much as I can in the German beers. It's I think in some of them, when you're looking for a high bitterness, you do end up using quite a lot because it's quite low in alpha acid, and there's always that worry that it's going to taste a bit of the hop matter, that kind of that green, literally the green hop matter in the beer. But I've never really found that, and I do find you could replace 50 grams of SARS with 10 grams of Magnum or something, or a higher acid hop. But I just find that maybe it's psychological, right? You're using the hops from the region. I mean, it always just feels a little bit more authentic.
Yeah, I've heard people say that too. Professional brewers say, you can't just throw
the same amount.
It's not just bitterness you're going for. There's other things that do hang around. There's other characters that those hops do give. You can go, here's this clean bittering hop because that's what I want because it's a 60-minute
that
addition.
That gets me my 50 IBU or whatever,
but that's not going to give you that
German
the same character.
Right? Yeah, exactly. There's something to be said for that. But no, look, I'm happy with it. It's as I say, it's always popular. With people who get to try it. So yeah.
If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content just like this. Also, we want to hear from you. What's your experience with schwarzbier? Do you have a favorite commercial style that you know and love? Have you tried brewing this style? Have you got any tips to add to what Andy's spoken about today? Let us know in the comments below. Again, if you want to brew better beer and learn exciting new styles like the schwarzbier, why not join a homebrew club? Andy's a member of our homebrew club at pubs, and we have people who come every month. We meet together to learn and share experiences so that we can learn to brew better beer together. And if you enjoy dark beers, why not check out this video, which goes through my recipe for an oatmeal stout. It's a beautiful winter warmer. I think you're going to love it. Keep brewing.